Hi, I'm Sabel from S-Comm Technologies and the WorldDAB Technical Committee. I'm going to talk to you today about DAB+ distribution and an Australian case study on allotment planning. We'll look at the current status, challenges for regional expansion and the approach we took to allotment planning in Australia. Australian broadcasters committed to DAB+ in 2007. And we started transmissions in 2009 in the 5 main metro cities. The challenge was to expand coverage to the wider regional population. And we can see here the current status. Those 5 metro cities are 50 kilowatts, with the exception of Brisbane, which is under consultation to increase to its full planned power at the moment. And we have established 4 new high power sites around the country in 2018 and 19, and we're looking at the Gold Coast coming online next year. Now, let's look at Australia, the challenges. The first challenge is the size. It's very big. As you know, it's 4,000 k's across and it's over 3,600 north-south. The good news is the population is mainly around the eastern seaboard and in the southeast. So that gives us some scope. The centre of the country has very little population. We do, however, have 103 commercial licence areas, and each of those commercial licence areas, which also include communities, community broadcasters, must deliver local content, so they must have their own ensemble. Now, in Australia, we also use VHF Band 3 for digital television, and we are only allocated 8 frequency blocks across the entire country. And the public service broadcasters, the ABC and SBS, also want their own multiplexes, so no sharing with commercial and community. So how did we do it? Well, in 2015, we decided we just got to get on with it, and we formed the Digital Radio Planning Committee. And it had all the major stakeholders, the regulator, the ACMA, Commercial Radio Australia, the ABC and SBS, the public service broadcasters, the community broadcasters, and of course the government, the Department of Communications and Arts. So we all got together and had a look at what the situation was, and what we found is times had changed, and particularly in the technical planning space, it had evolved over the previous 20 years. So the technical subcommittee was formed in November of 2015. I was the chair of that subcommittee. So we had to look at this, and in particular, we wanted to look at the technical base parameters that are used to establish a number of the critical aspects for allotment planning in terms of field strength classes and reference levels and interference allowances. So we looked at these and we were tasked at developing a set of planning principles which are used to undertake the allotment planning. To do that, we did extensive field and laboratory testing to re-evaluate a number of the settings we'd seen on the slides. And that was mainly undertaken by CRA with the assistance of the ABC. And it also involved discussions with the EBU and in particular the working group which developed the EBU Tech 3391. We had some input to that as well. So what were the planning principles that we came up with? Well, the first principle is the overall approach, and that is that we should address the wider area and not focus on individual one-off cases. We had to do the allotment planning across all license areas. The frequency allotment scenario that we adopted was a 6-2 allotment scenario, 6 frequency blocks allocated to commercial and community and 2 to the public service broadcasters. No license area aggregation was allowed because that would devalue the value of license areas. Wherever possible, we co-sited the main transmitter in a license area with the local digital television. And we adopted a number of adjustments to the planning parameters used to derive the planning field strengths. The mobile planning level was kept at 50 dB microvolts per meter at 1.5 meters receiver height. Suburban and urban were adjusted down from what we had by 3 dB to 54 for suburban and 60 for urban. So that agreement with the stakeholders resulted in a planning process which was to be based on a single transmitter in each license area with an ERP of 5 kilowatts. And in some cases, we had non-circular horizontal radiation patterns. We included no repeaters because that would just complicate the situation. They're generally low power anyway. And only co-channel interference was to be considered. The ACMA undertook the allotment planning process with some methods they developed, which was quite innovative, and they completed that process towards the end of 2018. Now, it's very important to note that while 5 kilowatts is used as a baseline, broadcasters are free to apply for higher power transmissions when they want to establish DAB+. And in fact, we can see that in the establishment of permanent services in Canberra, Hobart, Darwin, and Mandurah, all of which are around either 10 or 20 kilowatt ERP. So the process worked, and it continues to move forward with the public consultation on the Gold Coast, where we're looking for 25 kilowatts in that license area. So overall, I think the challenge in Australia had many hurdles, but we worked together, we discussed, we cooperated, and we all had to compromise in some places. But at the end of the day, we got the job done. Allotment planning has been completed, and we're moving forward. So it just goes to show this is a demonstration of the 5 Cs, and in particular, the key to success is collaboration. And on that note, I'll say thank you very much for your time, and I hope this example, this case study, has been useful for you. Thank you.